Hello everyone, my name is Kirandeep Kaur, and in this video we are going to talk about writing skills, specifically about letter writing. So first, we have been studying about letters from a very long time. When we were in school, since then we have been learning and writing letters to somebody or the else. But it is very important that we need to know what is the right format and what are the right words that should be used while writing a letter. So in this video, we are going to do exactly that. So let's get started. So first we need to understand what is a letter. Letter क्या होता है? So a letter is a written message conveyed from one person to another through a medium. So basically letter क्या होता है? Letter एक written message होता है जो हम convey करते हैं from one person to another person. कोई भी medium से, that medium can be either online or offline, but हम अपना message जब one person to second person को हम अगर convey करते हैं, that is basically a letter. Now, it is usually sent to the recipient via mail or post. Like I said, medium कुछ भी हो सकता है, तो it can be sent through mail or through a post. जैसे हम पहले past में काफ़ी time पहले we used to post letters to our knowns to convey a message or to talk to them. वही चीज़ यहाँ पे discuss हो रही है. In an envelope, although this is not a requirement as such. So envelope में रखना is not a requirement, but it is preferred to use an envelope while you are posting a letter to somebody. Any such message that is transferred via post is a letter, a written conversation between two parties. So any such letter, any such information which is being transferred from one person to another via post is basically a letter, and it is formal and informal both. It comes under written type of communication, of course. So we are writing letters. Letters cannot be verbally conveyed. It cannot be verbally done. That is why letter is a written form of communication, and we'll be going to discuss about more about it in detail in the next slide. First, we'll need to understand what is the importance. Why is it important to write good letters? See, knowing how to write a good letter is important if you plan to communicate with a coworker, hiring manager, boss, professors, or anybody. Now, it is very important to know to how to write a good letter. Why? Because it of course gives a very good impression. Of course, you don't want कि आप कोई message आप कुछ convey कर रहे हैं या आप maybe complain कर रहे हैं या फिर आप कोई information सीख कर रहे हैं और वो information properly सीखना हो या आपका impression खराब हो जाए. Nobody wants that, right? That is why it is very important, क्योंकि अगर आपको एक right way, एक correct way पता होगा to write a letter, तो आपके लिए it becomes very easy to talk to a co-worker, talk about anything, be it professional or personal, to your co-worker, hiring manager, boss. Now boss आपके इतनी अच्छी पोजीशन पे होते हैं, तो आप बॉस के साथ में कोई भी इस तरह से लेटर नहीं लिख सकते हैं जो भी जिसमें कोई मिस्टेक्स हों, एरर्स हों या उसका फॉर्मेट गलत हो. तो अगर आपको राइट वे पता है तो आप हायर अथॉरिटी से भी इजीली कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हैं. देन प्रोफेसर्स and other professionals in a formal way. Now, it makes a strong impression on potential employers. Now, what happens is, now if you write a very good letter, अगर आप बहुत अच्छे से लेटर किसी को लिखते हैं तो इसका आपको बेनिफिट क्या मिलता है? इट गिव्स अ वेरी वेरी गुड इम्प्रेशन. सो आपके लिए द बेनिफिट हेयर इज दैट आपका इम्प्रेशन एम्प्लॉयर्स जो पोटेंशियल एम्प्लॉयर्स है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपको कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन सीख करनी है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू आर इंटरेस्टेड इन अ जॉब रोल और एनी वैकेंसी और आपने उनको कन्वे करा है, आपने उनसे कम्युनिकेट किया है थ्रू अ लेटर. So what happens is, जो potential employers हैं, on them you leave a very very good impression. Then provide critical information. Now of course, if you know how to write a good letter, it becomes very easy for you to provide critical information, because while writing a letter you need to be very very careful कि आप क्या language use कर रहे हैं, किस तरह का आपका format है, everything is important, or especially when you are conveying something very important. So you need to understand all the rules and regulations of writing a good letter. Strengthen communication with the client. Again, if you're good with writing, if you're good with writing letters, it will automatically help you build a very good relation with the client of yours. Of course, and one more thing, confirm an agreement. If you are able to build a very, very good bond, a very good communication with your client, it automatically will help you make your it will automatically help you to confirm an agreement. Suppose you are doing a business deal or something like that. So if you're good with words, if you're good with the skills, writing skills, it will give a very good impression and it might get you a lot of confirmations of your agreement. Now let's discuss the types of letters. So we know now what is a letter. So why is it important? Why do we need to have a good information, and why do we have to uh, have an idea about writing a very good letter? Now we'll see what are the types of letter. कितने type के letters होते हैं जिसके साथ हम daily basis पे deal करते हैं. Now there are broadly two types of letters. So there are subdivisions और भी बहुत ज़्यादा हम उसको और भी subdivide कर सकते हैं, but there are mainly two types of letters. First is formal and the other one is informal letter. So formal letter क्या होता है? Formal letters have a set of format and level of formality. So formal letters of course हम लोग लिखते हैं ऐसे लोगों के साथ with whom we are in formal terms. हम उनके साथ casual नहीं हो सकते. सो उनके केस में हम फॉर्मल लेटर का फॉर्मेट यूज करते हैं. इसका एक सेट फॉर्मेट होता है, एक सेट एक लेवल ऑफ फॉर्मेलिटी होती है. यू कैन नॉट यूज एनी वर्ड और एनी लैंग्वेज विद देम. देन दे firmly adhere to the professionalism and deal with the relevant concerns. So इसमें in formal letters you have to be very professional and आप इसमें सारे professionalism को follow करते हो and again you deal with the relevant concerns head on. So यहाँ पर इस केस में ऐसा नहीं होता है कि आप सो इन दिस केस ऐसा नहीं होता है कि आप कभी भी मतलब यू डोंट नीड टू गो राउंड एंड राउंड विद योर content whatever you want to write. You have to be very straightforward, but of course at the same time you have to be very respectful and your choice of words should be very good. Then this group of letter includes any kind of official or business letter. So इस टाइप के इस ग्रुप में आपके किसी भी टाइप के ऑफिशियल या बिजनेस लेटर्स दोनों ही आ सकते हैं. Next is informal letters. Informal letters are personal letters. Now as the name suggests, now we know what formal letters is. So इसी तरह से हम लोग को easily समझ में आ रहा है कि informal letters क्या होते हैं जो formal नहीं होते हैं, जिसमें we can be a bit casual. So our personal letters, they are not required to conform to any formality or follow any predetermined pattern. So in case of informal letters, you don't have to follow any predetermined format, you don't have to be that professional while writing an informal letter, as you write it to your closed ones. तो आप अपने closed ones को, अपने family members, अपने friends, अपने relatives को एक informal letter लिखते हैं, and उसमें you don't have to follow a very set format and you don't have to use the formal professional words. ऐसा नहीं होता है. In this you can be a bit casual. Then they are written conversations or contain personal information. So यहाँ पे in case of informal letters आपकी personal information होती है, because आप अपने close one से बात करते हो तो आप किसी भी topic पे बात करते हो तो आपकी personal information हो सकती है, आपसे related आपका कुछ भी personal data हो सकता है, आप mention कर सकते हैं. Typically informal letters are sent to friends, acquaintances. So आप इसको use करते हैं, इनफॉर्मल लेटर्स को यूज करते हैं आप अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ में, एक्वेंटेंसेस के साथ में. So typically informal letters are sent to the friends, acquaintances, family members. So आपके नोन्स को आप हमेशा ये एक informal letter ही लिखते हो. Now we will discuss a bit more about informal letters first and then we'll move to formal letters. So informal letters, right, it is written to friends, parents, classmates, etc. So for example, you are in school and you want to communicate something your classmate. So classmate आपका friend हो सकता है. Of course आप उसके साथ में एक टीचर की तरह या एक प्रिंसिपल की तरह तो नहीं कम्युनिकेट करते. आप वो पर्सन आपके सेम एज का होता है तो आप उससे इजीली बात करते हो. So that is the person to whom you can write down a informal letter. So written to friends, parents, classmates. Then contractions can be used. Now for what basically I mean by contractions is like जैसे didn't. Didn't is a short form of did not. So did not को अगर आपको short में लिखना हो तो आप contract करके उसे लिखते हो didn't. ऐसे ही couldn't. Could not full form होगा could not, but आप उसे contract करके हम लोग use करते हैं couldn't. Same way haven't. Again haven't भी same चीज होती है. Have not आप normally use करोगे, but अगर आप उसे contract करके use करो तो you will say couldn't. तो could, didn't, couldn't, haven't, so ये सब जो words होते हैं इसको हम लोग बोलते हैं contractions. So in case of informal letters you are allowed to use contractions. आप easily इसको अपनी while writing आप इसको use कर सकते हैं and there is no problem in that. Then idioms can also be used. Idioms use कर सकते हैं like under the weather. Under the weather basically means कि not well. So I'm feeling a bit under the weather मतलब I am not feeling good, I am not feeling well. So ये idioms होते हैं, ऐसे बहुत सारे idioms होते हैं. So आप idioms को easily use कर सकते हो while writing a informal letter because आप अपने notes को लिख रहे हो, तो इसमें कोई problem नहीं है. So this is allowed again in the case of informal letter. Then phrasal verbs can be used like find out, go up, etc. Basically phrasal verbs क्या होते हैं? Phrasal verbs होते हैं that has prepositions. So जैसे कि find out, go up. So ये phrasal verbs को भी आप use कर सकते हो आपके informal letters में. That is fine, उसमें कोई problem नहीं है. Then imperatives can be used. अब imperatives क्या होते हैं? Sentences that start with a verb. अब जो ऐसे sentences होते हैं that start with a verb. For example, अगर मैं बोलूँ send it soon. अब मैं उसको I request you to provide it to me soon or I request you to send it soon के जगह मैंने directly लिख दिया send it soon. So यहाँ पे the sentence basically is starting with send. Send is a verb. So इस type के जो sentences होते हैं उसको हम बोलते हैं imperatives. So send it soon, don't do it. तो अब कुछ और बोलने की जगह हम directly बोल रहे हैं don't do it. तो don't क्या है? Don't is again a verb. So that is why जो चीजें जो ऐसे sentences small sentences होते हैं जो start होते हैं verb से which is called imperatives, आप उसको use कर सकते हो in case of formal letters, that is allowed. Now अब देख लेते हैं formal letters. Formal letters of course अभी हम लोग पहले डिस्कस करके आए हैं that it has a set format. ये formal होता है, you write it to an authority or to people you are in formal terms with. आप उनके साथ में कभी भी informal language को use नहीं कर सकते हैं. So इसको और डिस्कस करते हैं. It is written to strangers, boss, mostly used in the workplace, formal settings. So अभी हम यही डिस्कस कर रहे थे like it is written to people who are not known to you. आपके closed ones नहीं होते, आपके knowns नहीं होते. They are basically maybe for example if you are interested if you want to inquire about admission process in a college and आप convey कर रहे हो, आप communicate कर रहे हो through a letter. So उस case में what will you prefer? A formal letter format or an informal letter format? Of course, a formal letter format. Why? Because that person, the person who is going to read that letter is not a person known to you. He is not your known. That is why आप लोग mostly formal letters use करते हो आपके strangers के साथ में अगर आपको communicate करना है or if you want to communicate to somebody who is in a high position, maybe that person is your boss or a manager, तो आप उनके साथ में use कर सकते हैं formal letter. Mostly use होता है workplace पे, formal occasions में, formal settings में आप इसको हमेशा use करते हैं. Now, no contractions are used, only use full forms. Like I said, अभी पहले हम लोगों ने informal letter के केस में डिस्कस किया था that आप लोग हमेशा contractions को easily use कर सकते हो informal letters में. But in case of formal letters, never use contractions because आप formal setting में हैं, आप किसी वर्क प्लेस में मे बी किसी बहुत हायर अथॉरिटी या किसी स्ट्रेंजर से कम्युनिकेट करें तो वहां पे यू कैन नॉट यूज शॉर्ट फॉर्म्स. दैट्स व्हाई नेवर यूज कॉन्ट्रैक्शंस, ऑलवेज यूज द फुल फॉर्म्स, द फुल वर्ड्स. फॉर एग्जांपल फॉर डिडंट वी विल यूज डिड नॉट, कुडंट के लिए हम यूज करेंगे कुड नॉट, हैवंट के लिए हम यूज कर सकते हैं हैव नॉट एंड शुडंट के लिए शुड नॉट एक्सेट्रा. So there are many, we all know. So उसके लिए आप हमेशा full form use करोगे. You will never go for using contractions. Now no idioms should be used. Again जैसे मैंने आपको पहले बताया, in case of informal letters you are allowed to use idioms like under the weather etc. और same इसके लिए opposite situation होता है for formal letter, that is formal letters में आप लोग idioms को use नहीं करते हो. You will never use that. You will use simple and formal language. So कोई भी idioms use नहीं करने हैं, कोई भी ऐसे phrases use नहीं करने हैं, हमेशा simple और formal language का ही use करना है. Then do not use phrasal verbs. Again उसमें आप use कर सकते हैं, but in case of formal letters you people are not allowed to use phrasal verbs. Example, discover, in place of find out, increase. अच्छा, for example if you want to use find out, so find out is a phrasal verb. तो इसकी जगह पे अगर आपको formal letter लिखना है तो आप क्या use करेंगे? आप use कर सकते हैं discover. तो उसका रिप्लेसमेंट ये है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ यू वॉन्ट टू यूज गो अप, अगर आपको बोलना है, इफ यू टॉकिंग अबाउट प्राइजेस, राइट, तो अगर आप बोल रहे हो इट वेंट अप, इट या गो अप वर्ड आ रहा है, तो आप उसके लिए क्या यूज कर सकते हैं, इंक्रीज. So that is a more formal word for it. So do not use phrasal verbs for the formal letters. Always use simple and formal language. Then do not use imperatives. Again, previously we discussed that you people are allowed to use imperatives in case of informal letters. But when we talk about formal letters, you're not supposed to use any imperative. आप सिंपल यूज करोगे, यू मे सेंड इट एट योर अर्लीस्ट कन्वीनियंस. जैसे मैंने आपको एक एग्जांपल दिया था, सेंड इट सून, राइट. सो हमने इतना कुछ लिखने की जगह हम इनफॉर्मली लिख देते हैं सेंड इट सून, राइट, बट स्टार्ट हो रहा है ये वर्ब से, मतलब वो इम्पेरेटिव है. बट फॉर्मल लेटर्स के केस में हम इम्पेरेटिव्स को यूज कभी नहीं करते हैं. तो हम क्या करेंगे, उसके एग्जाम्पल, उसका रिप्लेसमेंट क्या हो सकता है, वी कैन से दैट यू मे सेंड इट एट योर अर्लीस्ट कन्वीनियंस. सो वी सेट द सेम थिंग बट इन अ बेटर वे, इन अ फॉर्मल वे, विद अ लॉट ऑफ रिस्पेक्ट. सो ऐसे ही आपको वेज यूज करने हैं, ऐसे ही आप लोग को कम्युनिकेट करना है वाइल यू राइट अ फॉर्मल लेटर. यूज मे, could in place of want, can, etc. सो जैसे अगर आप लोग यूज कर रहे हो want या can, ये सब आप यूज कर सकते हो इनफॉर्मल लेटर्स के केस में. बट जब आप अगर कम्युनिकेट कर रहे हो टू अ पर्सन हु इज स्ट्रेंजर और हु इज योर बॉस, कोई भी फॉर्मल सेटिंग में, तो ऑलवेज यूज मे, could, इस टाइप के रिस्पेक्ट वाले वर्ड्स आप हमेशा यूज करेंगे इन केस ऑफ फॉर्मल लेटर्स. नाउ लेटर्स हम लिखते क्यों हैं, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. व्हाई डू वी एक्चुअली राइट अ लेटर, क्या नीड होती है, व्हाट इज द पर्पस. सो कंप्लेन्स, फर्स्ट अगर आपको कंप्लेन करनी है, नाउ वी ऑल नो वी have used letters for making up complaints some or the other time in the past. So kabhi kabhi if you face any problem, if you have any problem with any service, with any person, then you write down a complaint letter. तो वो complaint letter होता है and वो mostly formal ही होता है. बिकॉज अगर आप इनफॉर्मली किसी से कोई कंप्लेन रखते हो, तो अगर वो इनफॉर्मल है, दिस मीन्स वो पर्सन आपका नोन है, दैट पर्सन इज अ रिलेटिव ऑफ योर्स और इज अ फ्रेंड ऑफ योर्स. तो उसको कंप्लेन लेटर की जगह आप डायरेक्टली कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हैं. और इफ यू आर राइटिंग अ लेटर, यू कैन डायरेक्टली राइट डाउन वट एवर प्रॉब्लम यू आर फेसिंग विद दैट पर्सन. तो उस केस में आपको लिखने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी. दैट इज वाई कंप्लेन लेटर अगर कभी भी होगा, दैट विल ऑलवेज बी अ फॉर्मल लेटर. देन इन्विटेशन. नाउ इफ यू वांट टू इनवाइट समबडी, तो वो इन्विटेशन का लेटर होता है. That invitation can be for a job interview or it can be for a birthday party. So both the ways होता है. So it depends on the situation. So वो formal भी हो सकता है और semi formal भी हो सकता है और even कि informal भी हो सकता है. Then applications or resignations. Now if you want to apply for a job, now suppose you got to know about a job vacancy in a college and you want to apply for the same. So अगर आपको letter लिख के उस पर apply करना है while with attaching your CV with it, तो आप क्या करेंगे, you will write a formal letter. अब आप किसी कंपनी में अगर अप्लाई कर रहे हो, तो ऑफ कोर्स यू विल नॉट यूज अ इनफॉर्मल वे. सो आप उस केस में हमेशा फॉर्मल लेटर यूज करेंगे. एंड इन द सेम वे इफ यू वांट टू रिजाइन फ्रॉम समवेयर, अगर आपको रेजिग्नेशन देना है, तब भी आप क्या प्रेफर करोगे, हमेशा एक फॉर्मल फॉर्मेट फॉलो करेंगे. वाई, बिकॉज आप उनके साथ में कोई भी ऐसे टर्म्स में नहीं है कि वहां पे आप कैजुअल हो पाए. वो एक फॉर्मल सेटिंग होती है, तो वहां पे अगेन रेजिग्नेशन के टाइम पे भी यू विल ऑलवेज प्रेफर अ फॉर्मल लेटर फॉर्मेट. देन रिक्वेस्ट, एनी स्टाइल कॉमन. नाउ इफ यू वांट टू रिक्वेस्ट फॉर समथिंग, सपोज आपको कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन चाहिए बट फ्रॉम डिपार्टमेंट, सपोज आप किसी ऑफिस में हैं, यू आर सीकिंग सम इन्फॉर्मेशन अबाउट समथिंग, तो आप क्या फॉर्मेट फॉलो करोगे, यू विल ऑलवेज फॉलो अ फॉर्मल फॉर्मेट फॉर रिक्वेस्टिंग समथिंग. बट आप मे बी, ये भी तो हो सकता है कि आपको कभी कुछ रिक्वेस्ट करना है अबाउट समथिंग टू समबडी हु इज नोन टू यू, मे बी अ फ्रेंड ऑफ योर्स, और आपको उससे कुछ डेटा चाहिए, कुछ भी इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए, एंड यू आर रिक्वेस्टिंग फॉर दैट. सो उस केस में आप उसको इनफॉर्मली भी लिख सकते हैं, इनफॉर्मल लेटर फॉर्मेट भी यूज कर सकते हैं. So इसलिए request can be of any style, formal and informal. Then making arrangements often formal. So for example, if you want to schedule a meeting, तो आपको उसमें you will have to communicate with a lot of people. So in that case, आप लोग एक हमेशा कौन सा format use करोगे, formal letter format. Explanation. Now explanation के लिए क्या है, sometimes semi formal or personal. Now for example, let's say for example you had a misunderstanding with your friend or maybe with a family member and that person is quite upset. So what will you do? अगर आपको लेटर, अगर आपके पास एक वे ही है कि आप लेटर के थ्रू ही कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हैं, तो व्हाट यू विल डू इज दैट यू विल राइट डाउन अ लेटर एंड क्या फॉर्मेट यूज करेंगे, हमेशा इनफॉर्मल फॉर्मेट, बिकॉज वो आपका पर्सन नोन है. सो इफ यू वांट टू एक्सप्लेन समथिंग, कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, कुछ इशू आया, यू हैड मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग विद अ फैमिली मेंबर या किसी के साथ में भी, तो व्हाट यू विल राइट डाउन अ लेटर, बट कौन सा फॉर्मेट फॉलो करेंगे, हमेशा इनफॉर्मल, बिकॉज आप एक्सप्लेनेशन नोन्स को ही देते हैं. Then, but sometimes maybe with a co-worker, maybe a co-worker of yours got to know something or there is some misunderstanding again, तो उस केस में वो थोड़ा सेमी फॉर्मल भी हो सकता है, विच इज फॉर्मल एंड इनफॉर्मल बोथ मिक्स, तो आप उसको भी यूज कर सकते हैं. देन अपॉलजी. Again, apology is a type of letter which can be written both in formal and informal form. Because apology आप एक formal situation में भी, एक formal setting में भी किसी से लेते हैं, and the same way आप personal setting में भी आप किसी के साथ भी, अपने closed ones के साथ भी कई बार आप apologize करते हैं. So it can be in both the styles, depending on the situation, depending on the person you are communicating to, आप वो format को, style को follow करेंगे. Now, next is, let's we need to look at few points to remember while writing a formal letter. So basically what we are going to do is, in this video we are going to discuss formal letter majorly, because informal of course where is when we are communicating to people who are close to us. So unke sath you have a basic idea by now, I'm very sure. If not, then someday we will make another video on that, but in this video we will be discussing formal letters in detail. So what are the points that you need to understand, that you need to keep in mind while writing a formal letter? Let's look at that. First, always left align the text. Now, this is very important, and why I'm saying this is because I have seen a lot of students making a lot of mistakes. Why I'm saying this is because आप लोग को कभी कभी ये नहीं पता होता है कि लेटर के लिए कभी कभी मे बी आउट ऑफ हैबिट आप लोग सेंट्रली एलाइन कर देते हो, मतलब आपका एड्रेस, डेट, एवरीथिंग आप सेंटर में लिख देते हो पेज के, बट दैट इज रॉन्ग. जो करेक्ट फॉर्म होता है, जो करेक्ट अलाइनमेंट होता है फॉर द थिंग्स दैट आर सपोज टू बी रिटन इन अ फॉर्मल लेटर इज ऑलवेज लेफ्ट अलाइंड. सो आप हमेशा मेक श्योर करो कि आप लोग अपना लेटर, व्हेन यू आर राइटिंग समथिंग इन द लेटर, इट शुड ऑलवेज बी लेफ्ट अलाइंड. हमेशा पेज के लेफ्ट साइड में होना चाहिए. जैसे कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ दिस इज द पेज, तो हर चीज आपकी डेट, आपका रिसीवर्स एड्रेस, सब्जेक्ट लाइन, कंटेंट, एवरीथिंग, सैल्यूटेशन, हर चीज आपके पेज के लेफ्ट पे ही अलाइन होनी चाहिए. नेक्स्ट, नो द रीडर. नाउ व्हाट डू आई मीन बाय दैट नो द रीडर? सी, sometimes we need to understand our reader, and then while keeping that in mind we need to write down our letter. It is very important because you don't know the mindset of the person reading the letter at that particular time जब उनको वो लेटर मिलेगा. इसलिए इम्पॉर्टेंट है कि उस पर्सन को माइंड में रख के, उनका नेचर, लेवल ऑफ नॉलेज, एक्सपोजर, हर चीज को माइंड में रख के आपको लेटर लिखना चाहिए, सो दैट नो मैटर इन व्हाट सिचुएशन द पर्सन इज, वो आपका मैसेज, आपका लेटर, वट एवर यू वॉन्ट टू कन्वे थ्रू दैट, वो कभी भी मिसअंडरस्टैंड ना करे. दैट इज द रीजन इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आपको पता होना चाहिए, जस्ट कीप इन माइंड कि आपका रीडर कैसा है, उनका लेवल ऑफ नॉलेज क्या है, वो किस लैंग्वेज में कंफर्टेबल है, किस टाइप की वोकैब्स में कंफर्टेबल है, एंड देन राइट डाउन द लेटर. नाउ कीपिंग दैट थिंग इन माइंड, बट अगेन अगर ऐसा भी होता है कि समटाइम्स लाइक फॉर द केस ऑफ फॉर्मल लेटर्स, इट हैपेंस दैट समटाइम्स यू डोंट नो द रीडर, आपको इंक्वायरी करनी है, सो यू हाउ विल यू नो द रीडर अगर आपके लिए वो एकदम न्यू पर्सन है, दैट पर्सन इज अ स्ट्रेंजर. उस केस में इट इज ऑलवेज एडवाइजेबल टू स्टिक टू अ बेसिक सिंपल लैंग्वेज, सिंपल वर्ड्स आप वो यूज करो तो कभी भी कोई कंफ्यूजन नहीं होगा. नेक्स्ट इज यूज अ टोन अप्रोप्रिएट फॉर दैट इंडिविजुअल और लैंग्वेज दे आर लाइकली टू अंडरस्टैंड. लाइक आई सेड, अभी पहले हम यही डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि ऑलवेज कीप इन माइंड योर रीडर and the tone they understand, किस type का person है, what is their nature, how do they communicate, and what is their temperament, and then keeping that in mind write down the letter. उस type के ही words को, उस type की ही vocab को, उस type की ही tone को आपको follow करना चाहिए. Also the language, तो वो किस, maybe that person is very comfortable with English but हिंदी में वो उतने ज़्यादा strong नहीं है, तो आप हमेशा प्रेफर करोगे इंग्लिश में लिखने के लिए. तो जो भी लैंग्वेज में, जिस टाइप के वोकैब में वो कंफर्टेबल है, आप हमेशा उसको प्रेफर करना. देन चूज द राइट फॉर्मेट. नाउ दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो सपोज आपको लिखना है कोवर्कर को, बट कोवर्कर आपके साथ उतना कैजुअल नहीं है, दैट पर्सन इज यू हैव काइंड ऑफ अ फॉर्मल सेटिंग विद दैट पर्सन, बट आपने अगर उस टाइम पे उस कोवर्कर के साथ कम्युनिकेट कर लिया थ्रू अ इनफॉर्मल लेटर, दैट पर्सन माइट मिसअंडरस्टैंड यू, राइट? सो दैट इज वाई इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप लोग एक करेक्ट फॉर्मेट को चूज करो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, यू वॉन्ट टू राइट इंक्वायरी लेटर एक कॉलेज में, राइट? यू वॉन्ट टू इंक्वायर अबाउट अ जॉब पोस्टिंग. सो उस केस में ऑलवेज यूज अ फॉर्मल लेटर. तो उस केस में आप कभी भी इनफॉर्मल लेटर यूज नहीं करोगे. सो कीप इन योर माइंड कि आप कौन से सिचुएशन में किस पर्पज से लिख रहे हो लेटर, एंड देन अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट चूज द फॉर्मेट, राइट फॉर्मेट. देन बी कंसाइज. सो for formal letters, starting maybe we discuss this, you have to be very concise. You don't have to just go round and round with your content. आपको जो convey करना है, whatever you want to tell, just be very clear about it and बहुत concise रखे. Do not stretch the content. Write down only which is what is important, right? Then clearly state your intent or objective. Again, what do you expect from the person? Now if you're writing a letter, of course it is very clear कि आप कुछ expect कर रहे होगे, maybe a reply or maybe something, maybe they, if you want the other person to do something or to provide some information to you. So that is why आपको ये mind में बहुत रखना है clearly, and उतना ही clearly you need to state in your letter कि what do you expect, right? So आपका intent क्या है, आपका objective क्या है of writing that letter, and make sure the information you include is necessary. So जैसे आप दूसरे से only concise information, correct information expect करते हो, in the same way it is important for you to convey what is important and what is needed. So जितना important information है, जितनी needed information है, only convey that much, not more than that. Okay? Then keep it short. Again, be concise, be very clear, and keep the content short and crisp. Do not extend, do not stretch the content, do not stretch the sentences. It will actually not look that good. It will translate that you are not clear with your thoughts and आपको क्या convey करना है, you yourself is confused about it. That is why if you want to avoid that kind of a situation, always keep the content short. जितना needed है, जितनी information needed है, जितना content needed है, only that much should be written in your letter. Then now in the same way, you should use more personal words, like you can use words like we, are, or you, if you want your letter to feel more personal. Now it is very good idea to give just a bit of a personal touch in your letters. Why? Because it just makes the reader feel a bit more connected and close to you. Now why this will work in your favor is because now for a because for a formal letter, you write a letter to the person who is not that comfortable with you or not that known to you. You will write it to a person who is a stranger, or maybe to somebody who is actually on a very higher position. So for those kind of people, if you use words like we or our or us in the letter, it will give a bit of a personal touch, which will help both of the person to come on a common ground and will make things positive and in your favor. That is why try using some words like these. Also, proofread. Proofreading is very, very important. Why? Because once you are done with writing the whole letter, proofreading is very important. It will make sure that you haven't done any grammatical errors or spelling errors in your letter, and which will make you look more professional, and you will come across as a person who has a very good hold on the language. Then read over your letter to make sure there are no misspellings or grammatical errors. The same as I said, proofread means basically उसको दोबारा read करना and उसको better करना if needed. एंड सेम ये चेक करना कि यहाँ पे कोई भी स्पेलिंग एरर्स ना हो और ग्रामेटिकल एरर्स ना हो. देन साइन ऑफ द लेटर यूजिंग योर्स फेथफुली. जैसे योर्स फेथफुली, योर्स सिंसियरली एंड बेस्ट रिगार्ड्स, ये सब कुछ वेज होते हैं जिसमें आप लोग एक लेटर को साइन ऑफ करते हो, बेसिकली एंड करते हो. देन like yours faithfully can be used for formal letters, then yours sincerely can also be used for formal letters. Then there are some examples of signing off. If you're signing off a letter, an informal letter, like you can use see you soon. So if you're writing to a friend of yours, you want to meet, so you can write down end kar sakte ho with see you soon. or take care or all the best. Suppose you are writing a letter to the person who has an exam in the coming week, so आप क्या कर सकते हो, you can end the letter with all the best to you. So इस तरह के आप लोग sign off कर सकते हो in case of informal letters. Okay. Now, we will look at the basic structure of a formal letter. Now, this is very important. Once you are clear with these things, तो आपको आपका 50% work is done, and आपके लिए it will be very easier to write down good letters. So first is always the receiver's address. Receiver's address basically means the person who is going to read the letter, receive the letter. So mention the person being addressed. That is, for example, if you are writing the letter to the principal or to the director, so you will write the principal or the director, comma, and then the college address or the school's address. For example, we are writing to somebody who is the principal, a person who is the principal of DPS school. So you will write down the principal, comma, under that you will write down, which will be left aligned, you will write down the name of the school, the full name of the school with the city. So इस तरह से आप लोग अपना जो सेंड रिसीवर का नेम होता है एंड जो सेंड उनका एड्रेस होता है वो लिखते हो. आफ्टर दैट you will write down the date on which you are writing the letter. So the date on which the application is written, it helps in officially documenting the application. Now actually it is also very important कि आप लोग dates क्यों mention करो, because it will give you a proof. Basically ये सब written communications होते हैं which act as a proof as well. So it is very important कि आप लोग उसमें correct date लिखो. Note, no ordinal numbers. So कोई ordinal numbers नहीं लिखने हैं. Then full name of the month should be there. No mark of punctuation in the date. So ordinal numbers नहीं लिखने. For example, if I want to write down 4 May 2023, so उसमें हम 4th May नहीं लिखेंगे. That is an ordinal number. We will use the simple numbers 4, then full name of the month, which is May, and then 2023. Also make sure there should not be any mark of punctuation like full like a dot or a slash or a hyphen. ये सब नहीं आता है. You will write the date in the simplest form, which is 4 May 2023, and that will be left aligned under the receiver's address. Then subject. Subject is very, very important. Be it emails, be it letters, the most important part of your written communication is actually the subject. So in this case, it is the subject of your letter. So a short statement reflective of the purpose for which the application is written. So basically, it is always the summary of whatever is there in the content, in the main body content. So for letters, it should be the summary of what you have written or what you are seeking in your letter, right? And it should be very clear and concise. Should not be more than 10 words. So अगर आपको एक criteria set करना है तो ये make sure करो कि वो 10 words से ज़्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए. Then use keywords, only use colon. Subject line should be underlined. Now अगर कोई भी एक formally accepted mark of punctuation है for letter writing, that is colon. आप उसकी जगह पे like you will write down subject first and then you will put a colon. आपको उसमें कोई भी hyphen, slash, comma, anything वो सब आपको use नहीं करना है. You will only use a colon and then you will write down the subject line and you will underline the subject line always. This is a must. Next comes the salutation. Salutation means the greetings. So suppose we are writing a letter to our sir. So we will write dear sir. Or if you are writing a letter to your ma'am, so dear madam or dear ma'am. So salutation, here's the addressee. Here the addressee is respectfully acknowledged and referred to, right? Then you can write sir, madam, or both in case of ambiguity about the gender of the person being addressed. So if in case you are not sure about the person's gender, so you can write both dear sir slash madam, comma. So आप ये refer कर सकते हैं. But if you know that if the principal is a male, you will write down dear sir, or if you know that the principal is a female, you will write down dear madam, comma. Then make sure कि आप लोग general gender neutral रखें अपना content. जब whenever you are writing a letter, make sure जो content है वो gender neutral होना चाहिए. Then body of the content, like इसी से related वो मैंने आपको बताया. Mention your name and course. First you will always start with mentioning the name and the course. आप अपना name mention करेंगे and then the course you are doing right now. Then state the reason of the application. So as हम लोग ने इतनी देर से we have discussed that you will never stretch the content of the letter, keep it very short, concise and to the point. So the same we will follow for the content. हम लोग क्या करेंगे, we will always start with our name and then you will tell your course and then you will directly state the reason of writing that application. Then related factors such as the number of days for a leave. So for example, अब उसमें आपको और mention करना है कि आपने कितने दिन की leave, for example आप leave application लिख रहे हैं, so you will definitely mention the number of days of a leave including the dates. For example, if you wrote that I want to apply for 2 days leave, that is, अब उसके आप आगे mention करोगे dates. For example, 4 May 2023 and 5 May 2023. So these 2 dates you will mention for the documentation purpose कि आपने 2 days की leave ली थी and आपने कौन सी date पे ली थी, ये भी उसमें clearly mention होना चाहिए for your safety कि अगर आपको आगे needed हो documents की, so आप उसमें clearly safe रहें उस case में. Then reason for fee concession. For example, in case you are writing for concession in your fees, तो आपको उसमें reason mention करना चाहिए that why you are seeking a concession in your fees. Then humbly extend your gratitude towards the receiver. Always end on a positive note. This is a must, be it an email, be it a letter. This is a must that while you are writing the main content of the letter, always end on a positive note and always give some, just extend some gratitude towards the reader as he has given his time to read whatever you have written. Then complimentary notes such as a closing acknowledgement for the receiver's time, understanding and patience. Like I said, you can end with thank you for your kind consideration or thanking you for your kind consideration. So with these kind of lines, you need to end your letter. This makes the letter more respectful and thereby appropriate. So this makes the letter a lot more appropriate and respectful. So it conveys that you value the reader's time and their efforts and you just respect them a lot. So that is very important. Now, closing line. Now comes the closing line, basically the line with which you end the letter. Yours obediently, we discussed earlier. Yours sincerely, etc. can be used after completing the whole content. So once you are done with the body, mostly the body of the letter is for 2 paragraphs. 2 paragraphs में आप लिखते हैं. First में introduction होता है and second में explanation and closing line होती है. After that, on a new line, from a new line on the left side again, you will write down yours obediently or yours sincerely. And then after that, in the next line, again left aligned, you will write down the name, your name, the person who is sending the letter, that person's name. And then again, under that, you will write down the details. For example, you will write down the name and under that, next line, you will write down your maybe the course name or your roll number. These things can be mentioned. Then conclude the application by mentioning your name with other essential details like the course, section, roll number and any other details if necessary, right? Now, let's look at some examples that will help you get a better understanding of writing the the letters. Now, first, the one which is most common in case of applications, that is an application for leave. So in this, I have prepared a simple example for you all so that you can have an idea of what kind of words we are supposed to use and how we should actually write the whole content. So like for example, here we are writing, a student will write to the director to apply for a leave to the director. Next line, Access Institute of Fashion Technology, whatever is the college name, you will write down that. Under that, you will write down the address. See, I have written both the options here. Whatever suits you, you will prefer that, right? So for the director, comma, under that, you will write down the college name along with the city in the same line, right? After that, leave one line and you will write the date. For example, here I have written 10 February 2023. So no ordinal numbers, no mark of punctuation. Then subject line. So subject I have written, again the only acceptable form, the only acceptable punctuation mark in formal letters is colon. So I have used colon here and then I have written the subject line, which is application for a medical leave, and I will always underline the subject line. Then leave one line again and start with the salutation, that is the greetings. So dear sir, madam, then again in the next line from the left again you will start, I would like to bring into your kind notice that my name is, you will write down your name, a student of a student of, along with, after that you will write down your course name, the year in which you are studying right now. Then, I have been suffering from high fever since 3 4 days. Then you will state the reason, like I told you. You will then state the reason of writing that letter. So I have been suffering from high fever since 3 4 days, and doctor has advised me to take complete rest at home for 5 days. That is, now you have written 5 days के लिए आपको rest बोला गया, and then you will mention the dates. So that is from 11 February 2023 to 15 February 2023. So dates we have mentioned, we mentioned the number of days, and just after that, that is used करके we will mention the exact dates. Then in the next line, I would request you to kindly grant me a leave for the mentioned dates. So done with that. Now in the next line you will write down the medical certificate issued by the doctor is attached herewith. So along with that you can staple or attach the medical certificate of the doctor. And then in the next line again, left line you will write down thanking you, comma, sincerely yours. Then under that name and then your course and section roll number. So this is the perfect example of writing the leave application. Make sure to see that I have kept the content very, very concise. I haven't dragged, I haven't stretched the lines. I have written only that was needed, only whatever was important. I have only written that and conveyed the same, right? So you have to follow the same thing. Then in the next example here is half day leave application. So sometimes it happens that when we are in college or when we are in school, there is some situation, or maybe we have an appointment with the doctor, or we have to take somebody to the doctor, or maybe we have to go to a station, to the station, to pick somebody from there. So these are the situations in which we might have to apply for a half day leave. So how should we write it down? Let's look at that. So directly the subject will start with the subject that of course you will write the whole thing, the receiver's address, the date, and then the subject line. But I will only explain to you the way the content should be written, right? Then the subject will be very simple, half day leave application, should be clear to the point. जिस बारे में आपका content है वही आपको अपनी subject line में लिखना है. So dear sir, madam, whoever the person is, you will write down, I am writing this application to bring to your kind notice that I, then I, you will, after I, you will write down your name, that I, student of whatever course you belong to, you will write down that, of the college name, would like to take a half day leave as I have an appointment with the doctor. After that, you will just clearly write down the reason of taking a half day leave. So we'll write down that at 12:30 p.m. So suppose you want to take a half day at 12:30 or 1 p.m. or 1:30 p.m. You will write down the exact time. Then in the next line you can write down, so therefore request you to kindly grant me a leave of absence for half day. I shall be highly obliged to you. So this is the way of writing your this is the way of writing the content for a half day leave, right? And after that you will again, you can write down thanking you. Under that again you will write down obediently yours, sincerely yours. After that again your name and your course. So this is a simple format. I hope you have understood what I'm trying to convey here. Just make sure that you treat your letters with a lot of respect and a lot of love, and it should always convey that you respect the person who is reading the letter. Then after that, let's look at one more example, which is the permission to take part in extracurricular activities during academics. So again, now if in case your regular classes are going on, but there is one event in the college and you want to apply for it, you want to take part in that. So what should be the content, how you should request your head, your coordinator or your director to allow you to take part in that event? Let's look at that. So for that, for this case, the subject line should be application for permission to participate in event name. Now application किसके रिगार्डिंग, सब्जेक्ट मतलब आप मेंशन करोगे जो सारा कंटेंट लिखा है किस चीज के बारे में. सो ये है एक एप्लीकेशन फॉर परमिशन टू पार्टिसिपेट इन the name of the event. After that, leave one line. Then quickly we will start with the salutation. Again, dear sir, अगर आप director को लिख रहे हैं, that person is a male, you will write down dear sir, and if she is a female, you will write down dear madam. Then in the next line, you will again from the left, you will write down, I am writing this letter to seek your permission to participate in the event in the name of the event, the name you will write down, as I'm really looking forward to be a part of the team. if कोई ऐसी टीम है तो आप उसका नेम मेंशन कर सकते हो to make it sound more authentic. Then, and learn new skills. I assure you I assure you that my academic performance will not be affected as I will complete my notes regularly. So, this is very important. This line is very important. Why? Because, of course, you are seeking permission to participate in an event, but at the same time, your regular classes are going on. So, you here have to make sure that you assure the reader, your director, or your coordinator that your studies will not be affected, because that at the same time is very important. So the same I have written here, that I assure you that my academic performance will not be affected as I will complete my notes regularly. Then you can end the letter with, so therefore request you to kindly allow me for the same, thanking you in anticipation. So this is also very nice way of ending a letter or an email, that you can write down, thanking you in anticipation, full stop. Then in the next line, yours sincerely, under that again your name, and under that your course and roll number. Now, one more last example is fees defaulter, seeking permission to sit for exams. So now, for example, there's some situation, financial problem at your place, because of which you were not able to submit the fees in time. So how will you request the reader, how will you request the authority to allow you to sit for exams? And you again, at the same time, you have to assure the person that within some days, within 10 days or 15 days or whatever date you are sure of, you will be going to repay the amount, or you are going to clear all the dues. So for this situation, the subject will be seeking permission to appear for exam. So of course, आपको यहाँ पे मेन सब्जेक्ट लाइन पे ध्यान देना है कि आप यहाँ पे क्या क्यों लिख रहे हैं, because you're seeking permission to appear for exam. We'll start with, dear sir, madam, I am writing this to bring into your kind notice that you will write down your name, then as student of, again you will write down the course name and the year, was not able to deposit the fees due to some medical emergency at home, or you can write down due to some unavoidable circumstances at home. So you have to definitely state the reason of not being able to pay the fees. So here we have done that, and after that you will write, but I assure that the remaining amount will be submitted within the next 15 days. Now this is up to you. So if you think that you will be able to pay the fees after 10 days or 1 week, you can write down that. Then I request you to give me permission to sit for the PU or the university exams. So then you will write down the main thing, why you are writing, what you are seeking. Then in the next line, you can end by saying, I shall be highly obliged if you allow me to sit for the same or to give the exams. With that, you can end the letter on a positive note, and again do the sign off by yours sincerely, your name and your course name. So I hope with this, all your doubts about writing the formal letter and informal letter is clear. And if in case you have any more doubts, you can comment down below. Thank you so much.